Hello, this is Dave, and welcome to Equity Story. I'm here with Mr. Wolfie. And did you have a nice weekend, Wolf?
I did. Thank you very much. I did forget, unfortunately, that you guys in Sydney and Melbourne are going to be sleeping in an hour extra. So I've got up my normal time, and I had to waste an hour somewhere. So I did that more reading, and I found a nice story, Dave, for everyone.
Okay, well, what time are you now in Brisbane? So are you the
Same as
same?
yours now. Yeah, we're all the same now.
Okay, so you're normal for a while.
Yes, for 6 months.
Okay, how good's that? And don't you find it easier with the ASX opening at 10 o'clock and
Well, it gives me time to waste more time on looking at stories.
All right, Wolf. Now, there's plenty to talk about today,
Yeah.
and the first one I want to talk about is an old, we put this as a hot stock, right? And it hasn't really done much. And I'd really like, technically now, Wolf, I'd like to see us jump over, or at least get over 25 cents by the close this week. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they came out with another announcement today. What? First of all, I'd like to ask you what you thought of those results.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they are pretty decent. It's sort of more confirmations of what they already have in there because it's pretty similar to the grades they've already have. So that's nice. So potentially they can grow this resource bigger, right? Big
So,
time.
okay, so they came out the other day and they say they aim to be the first palladium and platinum producer in Australia, right? And their market cap is 70 million. And Chalice is now at 2.5 billion, and Chalice was the story for next year. Explain to me, right, why Chalice is worth 2.5 billion and this is only worth 70 million. Surely, is it the fact that Chalice is too expensive and this is too cheap, or what's happening here? Explain it to me, Wolf.
Look, probably a bit of both, maybe, right? Maybe the truth somewhere lies in between. It's difficult to value things without cash flows. You are using pretty much assumptions on everything. So in other words, you're just guessing. That's what it is. A lot of FOMO in Chalice. There's a lot of publicity, good marketing, you name it. Obviously, a big project. Don't get me wrong; it's a good project, but usually with a good project comes a lot of FOMO. So I'm not gonna diss Chalice. It looks great. FME obviously is flying under the radar. Less people heard about it, so it doesn't have much FOMO in there whatsoever. It's a smaller project at this stage, so that's probably one thing that's you can definitely say it's not going to be the same value as a Chalice. But end of the day, I think Dave, I think we need to see something we can hang on to, like a factual based valuation, and the only thing we're going to get it is through a DFS of some kind, a feasibility study, where we can actually just have a look at the numbers, the assumptions, and so on that they use to make a bit more of an opinion.
But again,
On
isn't it fascinating, the stock market, the way stocks can move
Yeah,
to extreme highs,
yeah.
and when you see a stock, an interesting one where the FOMO hasn't quite kicked in yet,
Mhm.
it's still struggling at sort of lower market cap.
Yeah. Look, I think FME is a decent story. That Panton looks maybe like there's a possibility of a mine. I know they're talking about to do it, but if they can deliver some sort of a feasibility study that we can have a look, and I'm sure they're going to probably drill first before they actually do that. So you just got to be patient if you're in this story.
All right, Wolfie, ALC, which is it's unfortunately it's struggling at the moment, but again, some more wins and more contract wins for them.
Was there? I didn't see anything on there.
Oh, sorry, wasn't it? Or am I dreaming these things?
I think you are dreaming of this one. So I think we just like the fact that we like the story and the chart's starting to come back.
Uh, uh,
That's all
no,
right.
yeah, no, it did. It
Was
had,
there something? Maybe there was some. Maybe I just missed
yeah,
it. What is it?
no, it just, first two renewals for Silverlink
Good.
PCS solution.
There you go. It's probably didn't pop up on my radar because
Oh,
I'm looking at
thank God for me.
ASX alerts.
All right, so at least somebody's doing your work for
Yeah,
you.
exactly. Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
it's all
I've
right.
got an army. I've got an army of people that tell me if I'm doing something wrong.
Okay, all right. No, Wolf. So again, renewed contract wins, all
Good.
good for ALC. Looks excellent.
Mm-hmm.
CAE,
Mm-hmm.
some pretty strong results.
Yeah, it looks like it, doesn't it? I mean, on paper, you look at 400 meters at what, 0.9 copper equivalent. Well, copper equivalent pretty much means copper plus other things in there. And in this case, there was gold. So look, definitely, 400 meters, you cannot sneeze at. This is a significant intercept. We just need to probably see a bit more. And I'd say wait for that capital raising.
RHY.
Mm-hmm.
Wolfie, how annoying, because this is what we had on the weekend.
Yeah.
I thought, hello, hello, hello. So I put on Einstein's now. Unfortunately, the announcement came out today. If that had come out tomorrow, would have been well set. Unfortunately, it's maybe moved a little bit too far for us. What did you make of the RHY announcement?
Look, again, on paper, from what they say, looks pretty positive. That's why it's jumped. However, I'm not an expert in looking at biotech results, so I reserve my judgment because, to be honest, I don't. How do we interpret that if you don't know what you're looking for? So I'm just going to go believe what they say, and that is positive results. But I'm sure the experts in there will probably have a look through and give us an opinion, I'd say.
SYA, we spoke about this one. Unbelievable, up another 20%. What's your take on this? If you hadn't,
it's getting scary for me, Dave. It's getting scary for me. It's vertical chart, which normally means there'll be a pullback shortly.
Right. If not, just lift your stop tighter and tighter. And I mean, if you're in there, maybe you
tighten it, Dave, until your knuckles can't take it anymore.
Well, I think your stop loss maybe just under 28 then.
Yeah.
27.5. Just keep making it tighter and tighter. Macquarie, an interesting article again in AFR Wolf. Really reiterating what you're saying about how these they're good commodity traders, that there could be a little bit of an uptick for them in earnings again, and you can see the chart looking good, and I still think this is a buy if you're not in it.
It's playing to the hands, really, that commodity volatility for sure.
Wolf, we went for Min as the hot stock. Absolutely love the chart, but they just seem to be in the right commodities at the right time. I wonder. So they've just in a trading halt for the sale of their Perotti Iron Ore rights, Project Iron Ore rights, at WMG, right? So, I have to read a little bit about that. Do you know much what they're doing with?
Let me just have a look what they actually say, because that must have come out after I've had a look at the whole announcement this match.
Yeah, it's just come out as we're more or less talking.
Okay, let's have a quick look then while we're at it. Let's see what they are saying. So, binding term sheet signed, sell iron ore rights, purchase price 220,000, royalty retains. Look, it's
nothing.
Yeah, nothing really, David. It's insignificant.
Okay, all right.
Don't worry about that. Move on.
Wolf, I just have to mention one of your favorite stocks, and had a nice little buy signal. So again, I think a bit of a standout with the sort of the trending stocks. Now, Iluka had a lovely buy signal 2 weeks ago. It's sort of gone through it, and again, earlier today had another decent move up. There's a little bit of support at $12. Far away with Iluka, Wolf, because you're liking this story, aren't you?
Hey, we've been liking that for the last probably 3-4 months. So I remember when I first made a call, get into this long term. I don't normally make calls on commodity stocks on a long term basis because very cyclical, they can change. But if I find a commodity that I think has got a long term basis or a thesis, I'm saying get in. So we said that to get in on the back of not just mineral sands, on the back of the rare earths, which they are getting into. And today is the day that they've announced that they're going to do a refinery, Dave. They got their final investment decision as a yes. Going to spend over $1 billion to build one in WA. This is now turning into a mineral sand / rare earths play. You've got to be on this horse, especially when you think about that. Rare earths, Dave, are very strategic right now. We've got Linus is going great guns. We know how important rare earths industry is to the new world, really, the new world of electric vehicles, renewable energies, and new technologies. This is the place to be. I think you're going to probably 5 5 to 10 years time, you'll be thanking me.
Okay.
I hope.
I just have a look because it's starting to come down a little bit, Wolf. We're saying
Yes.
that we just felt maybe had to come and bridge that gap, and that high was excuse me, everyone. I just don't want people to pay too much for it. The high was 1164. So really, would you say any buying under 12?
No, ideally around the $10 mark would be nice, right? But cheeky bid here and there, 11, 1150, 11. Probably I'll probably be right, Dave. I agree with you. It's had a big jump today. I'd say we're going to have a couple of bad days of commodity prices, and they'll probably come back. So I wouldn't be rushing into it. So if you're not in it since the original call of getting in and holding for the long term, just be patient. I think you'll have an opportunity over the next couple of months. Easy, I'd say.
All right, it looks interesting. Now, so we're going to add that one as a trade. I'll sort of put out the sort of recommended prices at the end, Wolf. But another company you're interested in is taking a long-term view of this company is GMP. Again, Wolf had a really nice buy signal, which is a good sign. But so what you did, you saw the buy signal, you've dived into these fundamentals and thought, what's going on? What is GenusPlus?
What is GNP? Yeah, exactly. What is GNP? So
And
Dave, this is how I find my stories. I steal them from you or from others, right? Great looking buy signal. I thought, oh, let's have a look at this GNP. And it ticks a lot of boxes. So these guys, if I can just quickly read it out to you, because I've been doing all my research this morning on this, guys, an end-to-end service provider for essential power and telecommunication infrastructure. So they pretty much service power lines, cables above ground, below ground, and not just for Telstras and so on. It is for power supplies for projects in the mining space and so on. So very interesting player. It's defensive probably in nature, you could call it. Cheap, 12 times earnings, growing at about 20 to 30%, Dave. It's got the founder as the managing director, big tick, has some acquisitions for growth, big tick. Outlook is positive, Dave, big tick. The only two things you can say it's a no-no at the moment is that it is a contractor, which normally means it is high risk, right? So we got to take that into account. And the other thing, doesn't have any dividends as yet, but it could be a bonus later down the track. So apart from that, it's a buy. It's a buy. I think it's one of those, we found another possible little gem like a DGL and MAD, GNP. That's added to that because remember, the market at the moment is looking at the cheaper plays, plays that are growing, that potentially could do quite well in this sort of rising interest rate environment. And this is probably one of those companies. The third risk probably would be increasing costs with potentially trying to source staff, right? That's probably the three things that are maybe not ticking boxes. But overall, there's many more boxes that I've ticked to say yes than no. So I'm very happy with it. I'm going with it as let's go with a trade, Dave.
yeah, definitely, Wolf. And what you're saying, they've got, what really strikes out for me is that they're growing by 30% with a P of 12. I mean, that looks interesting. Is that correct?
Yeah, like I said, I think it's growing between 20 and 30, right? Let's be conservative. Let's say 20%. That's the case. They're going to be trading on 10 times next year. That's cheap.
Okay, listen, I like it. So two ideas or two trades today, and I'm just glad to say as well. Obviously, Iluka. I think a lot of people are already in this from that buy signal 2 weeks ago, Wolf. And again, SYA. It's up. It's just going up and up. It's amazing how the FOMO can move these stories, isn't it? Up of 30% today. Wolf, just having a quick look at Einstein. So quite a few stocks on there, and I do encourage people to stick to the good stories or the ones, look at every story. If it's a lithium story and lithium's obviously FOMO, maybe have a look in a story like that, maybe more than sort of a commodity that isn't trending. But generally speaking, I think across the board here we've got instead of some of the bigger, like I said, we've got Rio had a buy signal. One of our more favourites, CAA, had a nice little buy signal. Maybe that will work its way up nicer to that sort of 950.
Hey,
And
I had a field day this morning because there was a few buy signals in that Einsteins of yours. So
well,
very nice.
I definitely like obviously and a good story, and I think if you're not in that, it hasn't had a move yet, Wolfie. So it's looking fairly good.
Mhm.
You can see again, look at the materials, which are mostly all in green. Some bigger winners, BNR, MLS, some big sort of 18, 10% movers.
So much FOMO in this space. So much.
ARU, TLG still going.
Yeah.
I mean, in all fairness, at least there's a correct FOMO in that stock, isn't there?
Well, they've got something probably more substantial than some
You
others.
look, INR still moving, going on with it. You
Yeah.
can see this is really the trending sector at the moment, isn't it? These
Yeah,
materials.
but I think the key here is most of you probably have done the Cincinnati. You know to protect your profits, so just have an exit strategy because you don't want to see you're enjoying your rises at the moment with some of your commodity stocks. Pretty candy gains, I'd say. Most of these commodities, don't let them all go down to waste. So have your exit strategies on these stories, please.
Wolf, and unfortunately, it doesn't look like the peace talks. They don't look very like they're really working out, do they? The Russians
Okay,
promise a
no,
lot, and they just seem
deliver
to.
nothing.
And it's looking a little bit now, Wolf, that they want the Donbass region,
Mm-hmm.
and I think the whole campaign, the whole war's starting to look. It's got a feeling that it could be a really drawn out battle.
Mm. I think Donbass is definitely a region that they want, 100%. But I'm also thinking that they've got aspirations to grab the coast as well. So Mariupol and Odessa, right? Because it's strategic for them. If they can completely cut off Ukraine from the sea, then really they've got them where they want them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't think the Ukrainians would ever
No,
allow that. I think
no,
it's
that's
going.
why it's going to be probably protracted, like you said. So that's probably what Putin's pushing for. That he wants Odessa. He's probably fine. Don't worry about Kiev. Don't worry about Lviv, Kharkiv, and all those things. Ukraine's going to have that, but Donbass must for Putin, and probably I'd say the port cities as well. He wants them too.
Right, okay. And Wolf, if this whole war gets a lot more drawn out, and what we've seen is like more publicity or more news about these terrible war crimes that have been
Mm-hmm.
committed against civilians, um, do you think when the world sees that, this is again more of chance that this war expands?
No, I don't think it will expand. I think it will be to that region, to be honest. And I think, look, there's a whole big change going through. I think through Europe itself, they've obviously realized how exposed they are to Russia with energy, and it affects. I think I was reading this morning that you've got most of the wheat that's supplied to Europe comes from Ukraine and Russia. So that you've got to find alternative sources for all those things. So there's got to be probably a changed world order change. And it also brings up the point of other things that are happening right now and how reliant we are on some, one or two places for things, which is not the way to go. So there's got to be some turmoil for the next 6 to 12 months, I'd say.
All right. Okay. Interesting times, Wolf. All we can do is play it day by day and use these charts to guide us. On that note, Wolfie, thank you very much. Thank you for two really great ideas for the members, and have a great day, Wolf.
Enjoy your day. Thanks, guys.
See you. Bye bye.